Hey, if you haven't watched The Later Daters on Netflix,
what the hell is going on here?
Then I suggest you check yourself before you wreck yourself, especially if you're 40 plus and single. Let me just say, it is a show that is produced by none other than the FLOTUS, Michelle Obama.
The whole 8 years we were in the White House, we used Laura Bush's Netflix password.
Now let me find out the Obamas the whole time their plan was to be filmmakers. Because this is two so far that we know of. All right, so this show follows 6 advanced age people on their journey to love. And they're being coached by a behavioral scientist and author of How Not to Die Alone, Logan Ury. Logan also worked for the dating app Hinge, which I've been on Hinge many times, on and off many times. And I actually like Hinge over all of the apps. Maybe Bumble being a close second.
Ain't nobody asked you nothing. You sound like you bourgeois anyway.
So Logan says she is not a matchmaker. She is a coach. And she is going to be helping these boomers identify what's hindering them in amore. All right, so I'm not going to go and give away the outcome of the show. Well, I'm going to try my best not to, because I have a lot to say about the 6 people on the show. All right, first up is Suzanne. Suzanne is a widow. She's a retired optometrist who actually went back in to work because she was bored. And she has a bold personality and a bold sense of style. By bold sense of style, I mean tacky. But guess what? The men love it. The men love Suzanne's bold sense of style. She has wiry gray big hair. She says the bigger the better. And she starts every conversation off because, Logan suggested that she start conversations in mid conversation. And so her go-to is Matthew McConaughey.
That's bullshit, Gary, you know it!
Hey, I was listening to this Matthew McConaughey podcast. You know what Matthew McConaughey is? That's how she started off. But hey, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but let's just say Suzanne has game, all right? And, okay, so next up is a 62-year-old PhD, and let me just tell you, she doesn't let you forget that she's a PhD, and she exudes Sandra Clark 2024. Her name is Anise. You can't tell Anise she's not sexy. Anise is not coming out of the house without wearing anything that's tight. She's gonna wear tight to church. She's gonna wear tight wherever she goes. Anise is snatched. Okay, and the thighs don't match the butt, but she is snatched and you can't tell her anything. She looks good for 62. But you know what? I can still tell she's 62.
We're like 20 years apart.
No, we are not. Her mannerisms, the way she walks. That's a 62-year-old woman. You might be fooling some of the folks some of the time, but you're not going to fool me any of the time. Anise, I see you, but you look good. You're doing your thing. And to me, it seems like, in my opinion, and I'm not going to ruin it for you, but it seems like when it's all said and done, Anise was all about the physical attraction.
This bitch.
Okay? Watch it. So next up, there's this guy named Nate. Nate is 56 years old. He's an Army vet. And he never ceases to not tell his story. Okay, I will ruin this for you. So Nate is borderline OCD. If I can't diagnose him, I'm not qualified to diagnose him. But he is, in fact, he's very much so a neat freak.
Put on Cliff Rule 77 side.
If one thing Nate's gonna do is keep a clean house, and you better keep a clean house if you plan on dating Nate. You better have everything in order, because that will be hell to date Nate, in my opinion. I don't think I could date a guy like Nate. I'm a clean person, but I don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells around somebody like Nate. And here, truth be told, this is my opinion. Nate is one step from needing a nurse with a purse.
So nasty.
And that's what happened.
So rude.
His army wound, he basically was a jumper out of planes, and the plane went haywire and it was windy and he broke his back basically. And he's going to tell that story throughout the show. So get used to it. You're going to hear that story several times. And you might hear it longer and shorter. But you will hear that story about Nate's accident. And Nate keeps in shape. However, Nate can't really do much of dancing. He's not going to go hiking because he can't. Although he's in decent shape and he's well dressed some of the times. Sometimes he's well dressed. And he keeps that house tidy. Although that house is very much so dated. It's dated and kind of tacky, but you know, he's very much so rigid. His words and my words. He is rigid, and we shall see what happens for a rigid man on the dating scene in Atlanta. A 56-year-old man with these standards who might need a nurse, but he has these high-ass standards. We'll see. I'm not being biased against Nate. Then there's Pam. Pam is 70, a retired flight attendant. Pam has stories after story after story.
Mother thinks she's Aunt Margaret. She's teasing the hair with a bottle of vodka. You know, so dysfunctional, cross-addicted family. Still.
She lives in the past and she lives in the boonies. She lives like 54 miles outside of Atlanta. I learned a lesson from Pam because I tend to tell stories on dates. And I get it. Logan told her, and this is something to take away for everybody. Don't be interesting, be interested. Or be interested, don't be interesting. Because you got to ask questions to let people know you're interested in them. And you'll see what happens with Pam on all her dates. She's going to learn a lesson, but Pam lives in the past. And Logan basically said Pam has a lot of ghost stories. But Pam's a good time, in my opinion. Then there's Greg. I mean, to be honest, Greg isn't memorable. He's a construction owner. He has 2 sons. He was married twice. One of his sons has cerebral palsy, and he's taking care of him, which they really never really talked that much in depth about it. But his son is nonverbal and speaks through, I guess, a computer. But he had issues with his selfies on his profiles, but he's not very interesting. So we're just gonna move on past, because who do I want to talk about? Lori. There's Lori, aka Rich Auntie Lori, who drives a Hyundai. Rich Auntie Lori. She drives a Hyundai and has a dated house.
My watch. Don't count my money, nigga. You make
in Atlanta, and let's just say, and she wears big glasses that Logan told her made her a character. And I thought that was spot on, because it hides your face, Lori. Nobody can get past those glasses. And Lori is what these young red pillars would say. She's masculine. She's masculine. Lori doesn't let people have a voice. Lori doesn't have conversations. Lori interrogates. Lori says, look me straight in the eyes. Don't look over there. Talk to me. But Lori doesn't like white t-shirts on a man. It's a no-no. But Lori likes a guy who looks like a character himself.
Your mama, can a brother holler at you? Holler, holler, holler. Holler at you. Holler, holler at you. Holler at you. Holler, 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 holler.
Lori is concerned about being in the friend zone with this guy, but you'll see what happens with Lori. I don't know that Lori's coachable, but if anything, all of these people resonated with me on some level, and it made me understand things about myself. And I suggest that you watch to see if you can identify some blind spots that you may have missed in your dating process. And, you know, drop into the comments and tell me some of those blind spots or epiphanies that you found out from watching this show. I really enjoyed it. I watched it from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. and I'm finished with it. I'm kind of sad because I'm finished. But anyhow, like and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.